Hey, this is Mike Gingerich. Welcome to another Halftime Mike podcast. And in this episode, I want to dive into landing page call to action improvements that you can make to increase your conversions. Okay. So many of us know what landing pages are. We're trying to drive some traffic to a specific page, get people to take a certain action, and maybe it's not performing as well as it could have, or we always want to take improvements to this. Well, one of the things that, and when we do that, we can take a look at the ads, we can take a look at the landing page copy. All of those things are important, but more specifically, and one of these things that's often overlooked is improvements to the actual call to action, the CTA itself. And in this episode, I want to run you through a number of tips to take a look at optimizations to your calls to action that can make a tangible difference in your conversions, the amount of people signing up, purchasing, that type of great success. Okay, so that's what we want to take a look at. Now, I got a stat from HubSpot that says the average landing page converts at around 9.6%. So round it up, we'll say 10% of the time it's going to convert. And that's, 9% of the time people are not converting on that page. And so that sounds like, there could be some improvement there. Now that's average. And so that's why some are doing higher than that, some are doing worse than that. But for your purposes, wouldn't you like to maybe see that increase 15%, double 20%, that type of thing? So these are some ideas that you can do to take a look at that. Now, number one, the a great starting point is to take a look at the words you're using, and I want you to use action words in your call to action. Okay, so oftentimes we see things like they leave the button the same, and it just says enter now or sign up or that type of thing. So while sign up is an action word, it's not great. So I think that putting something tangible on it, even the word now at the end of that, sign up now, or get started, discover now, buy now. So those types of things which give immediate action, which are time specific, which are generating, take this action now. Don't just have the generic sign up. So you want to take a look at the wording you're using on your particular call to action and make it action oriented. Okay, so that's number one, make it action oriented, review those types of things. Number two, take a look at the color that you're using. All right, so there should be some contrast, obviously, from your website. So if somebody's just scrolling through, they're not really reading anything, but they're just looking, is there any difference in the call to action color that appears to them? There should be, because if your site is let's just say it's blue and white, and they're scrolling through and your button turns out to be dark blue with white text, how's that going to stand out from anything else that's on the page? Okay, where contrasting colors can stand out. Now I have there's power in colors, and so we take a look at things that green, orange, and even red perform the best overall. Those stand out. So again, think about it. If my site was generally blue and white, and we're rolling down through there and they see a green button, is that going to stand out to them? Yes, it's going to stand out to them. So color matters. Your call to action button should have a contrasting and powerful kind of color to set it apart, make people really see it and want to take action on that piece. And then as well, and make it easy to read that action-oriented words in there. So you don't want something that's what's that say in there? Those they blend together. So green button with white lettering inside of it. Okay, so to do that, so take a look at the power of color. Next, number three. Size matters. Yes, it does. In call to action buttons, size matters. Okay, and particularly because of the different possibilities people are using to look at your landing page. Okay, they might be coming in on a desktop, large monitor, or they might be coming in on their iPhone in vertical position. And what is that button going to look like? So you want to use a responsive call to action button, not just an image, but a responsive, because an image is not going to resize and respond to the page. It's going to look the same, same size and just kind of scaled down. So it's going to look small on a mobile device. But if you use a responsive button, that can shift because again, device, for the button, people, you don't want them to, I have to pinch. They don't even want to do any type of pinching to fit the button. They want that button to be large, and so to fit the fingers on there. And so a call to action button should be of size to be clearly distinguishable, set itself apart, identify, I'm supposed to take action here. This is it. This is the button. Okay, so it should be fairly large. Okay, and impressive, stand out, and it should be responsive so that even on a mobile device, it's going to be side to side. It's not going to be side to side. Maybe on a desktop large monitor, but on a mobile device it is going to be there, so it's easy to click for the finger. So take a look at the size, what's happening particularly on different devices. Look at mobile and look at a large desktop and see what you get there. Okay, that was number 3. Number 4 is kind of coming back but enhancing on what I talked about before, and that is sense of urgency. Okay, you want to use words like now, but also then in your final copy, use a sense of urgency. Available for 48 hours. 15 remaining. Those types of things. Limited quantity of X. That type of wording, so that people know that this is not just undivided. I just can come back to this later, but they need to take action now on this piece there. So generate that sense of urgency. The 5th one is keep your call to action visible, and that means keep it above the fold. Okay, so let's just say I'm coming into a website, and what you see here on my screen is what's visible on the website. Okay, so I want the button to be visible on the screen. Okay, I don't want people to have to scroll down before they would see the button. So that's what it means to be above the fold, is when a web page immediately loads, the button is available right there on the screen without scrolling down. They don't have to get anywhere to see that. So that's going to be very important. A lot of people make this mistake because they want to put a whole bunch of copy and explain it and then put the button at the bottom. Who knows if they get there? By HubSpot's stats on 9.6% conversion rate, they're not getting there. You want to make it easy. And it's okay, folks, to have more than one. The same button, 2 different places. You can have it at the top of the page, so it's above the fold, but you can also have it at the bottom of all your copy where you explain it. Again, the same one, taking the same action. I'm not talking about 2 different actions going to 2 different products or anything like that. The same one, 2 different locations on the page, definitely above the fold in that regard. So what are you doing with your call to action buttons? That was number 5. Number 6 of 7 is keep it simple. Okay, keep it simple, stupid, and that is, what is the offer? Don't go complex. This is not the time to have all kinds of variables, all kinds of options, all kinds of multiple things to choose from. You want to keep it simple, keep it clear, get them to take an action on this. The KISS principle really works here and will serve you well. If it's too complex, people glaze over and they move on and they will not buy. Okay? And along with that, keeping it simple is, I want to talk about the life cycle in landing page. And people often miss that because they just want to sell, sell, sell. Okay, they want to get the transaction, but they're missing perhaps the first 2, and that is consumption. You have to give people something positive to consume, something inviting, something that attracts their attention. So consumption is number 1. If you don't have anything worthy of driving interest, worthy of sparking that motivation, you're not going to go anywhere. So this can be, many times it starts with a great blog. If you have great blog content, then you drive them to a landing page because they've read some good content, they've seen some good things, they've read some good things on social media. Now they come over and they want to get to that. So consumption of good content creates the interest. Number 2, instead of driving them to a transaction right away, drive them to a subscription. Okay, get more of your content. So make it a low threshold. This is the free offer, giving them something that the download, the more material, whatever that is, so that they get more of the good thing. They feel like they've upped their game from they like that blog post, they like what they read there, they want more of that, they sign up for this, they get more of that free. It didn't cost them anything, but they're on your email list, your text message list, so that you can continue to correspond with them. Now you have another way to reach them. And then finally, the transaction one, the third one. And the transaction is, again, typically done via that email or that offer, and email, text message, and you're going to drive them to that landing page where, again, and now it's simple because you've done all that work building up those pieces leading up to it. They're convinced, and then they say, yes, I want that, and they make that purchase. So that's the transaction phase. So typically it's like, hey, I want to sell, so I'm going to throw up a landing page, and we're going to try to get them to take a transaction. You're trying to do all those things on that one page. That's a lot. That's not keeping it simple. So there's pre-work that goes into it to do that, so that your landing page ultimately can be simple. Seventh thing and final thing is you need to test and adjust. How many of you you're seeing some of these tips and now you're thinking, not sure I'm doing that. Okay, so you need to take a look at some things, take a look at some stats, take a look at some button clicks. You need to try some different pieces. Take a look at the color, the wording, the action words. Is it simple? Is it above the fold? Make some adjustments. Then monitor that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and then see what you got. You make some more tweaks, take a look at those pieces, test and adjust. It's not once and done on those pieces. And some things will fade out over time. You need to freshen them up to capture attention more. But that's how you can take a look at increasing the conversions on the landing page by taking a look at improving your CTAs. Okay, that's what I wanted to cover today in this Halftime Mike podcast, thinking about your online transactions and selling. But again, remember that people don't buy the first time. Remember that stat, it was only 9.6% was on average. We're saying if we're doing good, we're getting, double that, you get 20%. So what are you going to do with that other 80%, 90%? All right, you need to be thinking about those three key words. Your consumption. How can I get them? How can I produce content that people want to consume that's going to be of value that keeps them coming back, so that I can get them to subscribe to something, so that I can get them on a list where I can give them more consumption content, so that I've done the selling there. So when I do make my offer via the email, text message, take them to my simple landing page, they're ready for the transaction. Okay, that's what I want to cover today. Thanks for being with me on this Halftime Mike podcast. This was Mike. Over now.